Now, Yarok is a Sultai-colored commander, which is black, green, and blue. What he does is he is a 5-cost elemental horror who has a 3 power, 5 toughness, and he has Death Touch and Lifelink. His main ability, though, is his second ability. What he does is anytime something has a comes into play style ability or triggers off something coming into play, he will add a secondary effect to that. So, as an example, something like my Dream Stalker. My Dream Stalker says, when Dream Stalker enters the battlefield, return a permanent I control to its owner's hand. That will make this trigger twice. Or something like a Guardian Project, which triggers when a non-token creature enters the battlefield. I get to draw a card, so I get to draw 2 cards. Things like that. So we'll get into the main part of the deck tech. I'm going to do it in sort of 2 parts. Part 1 is going to be a sort of a fast and loose overview of the deck and all the cards. And part 2 I'm going to be going over some of the synergies I have and some of the more notable ways I have to win. So let's get to the deck. For my enchantments, small enchantment package, we'll go over that. I run Guardian Project, so whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if it doesn't share a name with another creature, then I'll get to draw a card. I run Path of Discovery, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield, I get to investigate, which is look at the top card of my library. If it's a land, I put it into my hand. If it's not a land, I put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. I'm mostly using this to get the lands. I don't really care as much about the +1/+1 counters, but it's nice. Defense of the Heart lets me sacrifice it if the opponent has 3 or more creatures. Any opponent has 3 or more creatures, and if they do, I sacrifice it. I can search my library for any 2 creatures and put them into the play, into the battlefield. It's a super toolboxy utility effect, and it's really, really nice. And then lastly, I have Greater Good, which is a sack outlet and a draw engine. Mycosynth Wellspring, so when this comes in, I get to search for a land. Then I run Mirage Mirror, so I can pay 2 while this is out, make it a copy of something else in the battlefield. Mimic that, so when something dies, I can imprint it onto this, and then create tokens of it, which is super utility value, is nice. Run Panharmonicon, which does the same thing more or less as my general. Soul Foundry, when the Soul Foundry comes into play, I can imprint a creature, and then pay X, which is its mana cost, to put a copy of it onto the battlefield. And if I have my general out, I get to imprint 2 creatures and pay their combined mana cost to get them both out. Conjurer's Closet, so at end of turn I can blink something. And Spawn of Ishah to blow something up. I run Release to the Wind, which I have said many times, and I'll say it again. I think this is probably one of the most underutilized blue cards, because you can exile any non-land permanent, and for as long as it remains exiled, you can recast it for playing its mana cost. And it's instant speed, so you can use this offensively to remove a blocker that your opponent has. You can use it defensively to save one of your things. You can use it to... So many different ways to abuse this is nice. Then we run Ghostly Flicker and Displace, which are basically the same card. They are 3-cost instants that let me flicker out 2 creatures, so blink out 2 creatures, and then bring them back into the battlefield. So it's really nice. But Ghostly Flicker also lets me hit artifacts if I need to. For my sorceries, I run Neoformed, tutor for a creature, Genesis Wave for the super value, Eldritch Evolution to also tutor, Villainous Wealth for the super value, and Tooth and Nail for the tutor. 6 islands and Halimar Depths. We run 6 forests. We run 5 swamps and Bajuka Bog. We run a Breeding Pool, a Temple of Mystery, a Temple of Deceit, a Watery Grave, a Temple of Malady, an Overgrown Tomb, an Opulent Palace, Reflecting Pool, and a Command Zone. Those are all of our color lands, and then we're going to go over our utility lands now, which provide us, some kind of effect. Alright, for our utility lands, we have Temple of the False God for the extra mana that it produces, High Market as a sack outlet, Reliquary Tower for the unlimited hand size, Grim Backwoods as a sack outlet / draw, Alchemist Refuge to play things with flash, Field of the Dead to generate some tokens, which will also trigger twice whenever a land comes in if my general's out, and then Terramorph for Expanse and Evolving Wilds to tutor for other lands. We run Dream Stalker for the bounce, Elvish Visionary for the draw, Baleful Strix for the draw, Coiling Oracle for the draw / potential ramp, Risen Reef for the draw / potential ramp, Farhaven Elf for the land, Wood Elves for the land, Fierce Empath to tutor for a big guy, Reclamation Sage to break people's toys, Eternal Witness gets stuff back, Yarok for the draw / life gain, Sakashima the Impostor because she's actually really nice because she can clone something, but she retains her name, so when she clones a legend like my general, then I get to have them both out. Venser Shaper Savant, Clever Impersonator. Similar idea to Sakashima, but this is a lot of times I'm going to try to clone my Panharmonicon to be able to get multiple effects. Spark Double can clone my general and doesn't retain the legendary rule. And Thassa the Deep Dwelling. So those are a lot of the creatures I have so far. Thassa is in there for the blink effect. Some more of the creatures we have here. Phyrexian Metamorph, Solemn Simulacrum, Agent of Bolas for clone, draw / land, and draw / gain life. Ravenous Chupacabra for removal. Temur Sabertooth to be able to reuse effects. Peregrine Drake to be able to abuse some land. Indrik Stomphowler breaks the toys. Acidic Slime also breaks toys. Shadowborn Demon, some creature removal. Sidisi Undead Vizier lets me have some tutor effects. Tachiova Benthic Druid gives me life gain and draw whenever a land comes into the battlefield, which would be very, very nice. Woodland Bellower lets me tutor. Soul of Harvest lets me draw cards. Greenwarden of Murasa lets me do the same thing as Eternal Witness on a bigger body. Deadeye Navigator is a heavy blink effect. Dream Eater is filtering / removal. AEthersnipe is some bounce. Patron of the Vein is some creature removal, as well as Graveyard Hate, sort of, because once he's out, whenever everything dies, it goes to the exile instead, and he gets a +1/+1 counter. Mostly in there for the removal. Noxious Gearhulk's in there for the removal. And Sire of Stagnation also for removal. Sorry, for card draw. Also mills away their library, well, exiles away the library, which is really nice, but that's not the main reason he's in there. And then the last of the creature package, we have Muldrotha the Gravetide. And this is going to let us reuse our graveyard as almost like a secondary hand. Duplicant for creature removal. Phyrexian Ingester, also creature removal. Agent of Treachery, some theft. Overseer of the Damned is going to be removal / creature removal / token generation. Rune-Scarred Demon lets me tutor. Terrastodon lets me break things, and Woodfall Promise lets me break things. So that's all of the cards in the deck. I'm going to go over some of the more notable synergies that I have. I'd like to get out Sakashima with him to clone him, to double up on effects, so now I will get a single, a double, and a triple for any of my abilities. I can also spark double him to get a 4th of the abilities. Then we can get out my Panharmonicon to get a 5th of the abilities. We could play Clever Impersonator as a copy of my Panharmonicon to gain 6 of the abilities. And while I have Mirage Mirror out, I can pay 2 to make it a copy of the Panharmonicon. And I can get up to 7 of the abilities that I have. And then if I have my Phyrexian Metamorph out, I can actually get another. Where's the Metamorph? Where did that guy hide? So if I have Phyrexian Metamorph out as well, who's another clone who can clone artifacts, then I can get out. I can have up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could potentially have one thing trigger 8 times. And that's just huge value in its own. These all just synergize off what my general does. Like I said, things in this deck that just really can pop off. One of my other more notable synergies that I enjoy using is if I have down either Soul of the Harvest or Guardian Project, I can cast Dream Stalker, and when he enters the battlefield, I return a permanent that I control. So I can actually return himself. I don't have to return something else because it doesn't say another. So I can cast him, draw a card, return him to my hand, cast him, draw a card, return him to my hand, cast him, draw a card, return to my hand, for as many times as I have 2 mana. That's a very, very strong synergy that can get you a lot of cards very quickly. As well as I can do the same synergy with Path of Discovery whenever I cast it. Look at the top card of my library. If it's a land, I put it in my hand. If it's not a land, I can put a +1/+1 counter on him, which doesn't really matter, and I can put that card into my graveyard if I don't need it. So it has some filtering options as well, and as much filtering as I have mana. So that's really, really nice. That's a strong synergy. Another synergy I have is around Peregrine Drake. I mean, obviously he's a combo machine generally on his own, but I can pair him with Deadeye Navigator to generate infinite mana and then trigger any infinite number of things that I may be able to have. Something like a Guardian Project or Assault Harvest to just draw as many cards as I have. That's actually as many cards as I want because they'll generate infinite mana. Because when Peregrine Drake comes into play, I'll untap 5 lands. He only costs 2 mana to blink him out, so I net 3 mana per cycle. And if I have my general down, I actually only tap 10 lands. So that's solid interaction right there. And then what you can do is once you have these two, you say generate infinite mana, you can give an arbitrary amount, say to your opponents, I'm going to generate 2 million mana. And once you've shown that you can cycle something like a full cycle of generally 3 times, you can ask for consensus if they agree. You don't need to keep doing it and doing it. You can just understand that it's there. You can shortcut it if the opponents are okay with that, which most of the time they would be to just save time. So then you can generate infinite mana, and you can do whatever you want from there. One of my more favorite things to do is pair these, generate infinite mana, blink out Deadeye, blink him back in, and pair him with Agent of Treachery to then go ahead and be able to steal all the permanents. And generally once you get these two out with infinite mana, your opponents will scoop. It's just something that a lot of times will happen. Another notable synergy with my Peregrine Drake is if I have out an Eternal Witness or a Greenwarden of Murasa, who is this guy right here, Greenwarden of Murasa. These both have the same effect. When they enter the battlefield, I can take back something from my graveyard to my hand, a card. So what you do is you cast a Ghostly Flicker, and you flicker out these two. So when he comes back in, he's going to untap 5 lands. When she comes back in, she's going to take a card back, so you take back the Ghostly Flicker. Then you cast Ghostly Flicker on them again, you'll take back the Flicker, you untap 5 lands. Again, every time you do this, you're generating 2 mana. You generate 2 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana. You can do the same thing with Displace, and then you add in something like your Path of Discovery, or your Soul the Harvest, or your Guardian Project, and you're generating as much card draw as you want. To go from there, and then you can also demonstrate at that point that you have unlimited mana, so you could switch out. So once you cycle this with the Ghostly Flicker or the Displace with the Peregrine Drake and the Eternal Witness, and you demonstrate that you can cycle it and cycle it and cycle it, so you keep generating 2 mana every time. And if your opponents agree and you can shortcut it, then you can actually switch out the Peregrine Drake for anything that comes into playability. Anything in your deck. You can switch it out to Terracodon and destroy all of their non-creature permanents. Or you could switch it out for, Phyrexian Ingester and eat all their creatures. As long as you keep tracking the Ghostly Flicker and the Displace onto the Eternal Witness or the Greenwarden to get it back, as well as the other target you want. I mean, anything you want to do. Kill all the creatures, or you want to get all your lands, or draw all the cards, or draw all the cards. Bounce all their permanents back to their hands. Whatever you deem you need to do at that point, you can do it, and it's. I mean, you can actually perform a lock with this deck as well that completely locks out your opponent. And the way you do that is you have down if you have down these 3 cards. So what you do is anytime your opponent wants to play anything, they play X spell, doesn't matter. Let's say they're going to play their own Guardian Project. It doesn't matter what the spell is that they're going to play. It just doesn't matter at all. So you cast the Ghostly Flicker, and you do it on the Peregrine Drake and the Eternal Witness. So when she comes back in, she'll take back the Flicker. He'll untap the lands. Cycle, cycle, cycle. You show the opponent that you have as much mana as you want. and then you now start targeting the Venser and the Eternal Witness. She'll keep taking back the Ghostly Flicker or the Displace, your call, whichever one you'd like it to be. And then you have the Venser be the other one flickering, because when he comes into play, he just returns a spell to their hand. It doesn't finish resolving, it just goes back to their hand. So you can really just lock out your opponent with these 3 creatures on the board and that in your hand, or this in your hand, and it just completely locks them out. Again, there's so many synergies you can do with this deck. There's just so many. There's so many paths to victory. I'd say this deck probably comes in at likely a power level like 5-6. It's not super focused. It's got a path that it wants to take, but I wouldn't say it's so focused it's just going to blow the opponent out. But that's more or less the deck itself and some of its paths to victory. I'm sure there's many more in the deck that you could find just playing it, and I'm sure there's other cards you'd like to play in the deck, but that is my Yarok the Desecrated EDH deck. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear some feedback on the card choices and tell me what you think. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.